Thank you for taking my call. Before we continue, could you say the first and third digits of your security PIN? Oh, I didn't catch that. Sorry. That's the second and fourth, please. Okay, lovely. All gone through. Did you see what I did there?
It's a scam. Never reveal your full security PIN, even if you think it's your bank calling.
The point is, ladies and gentlemen, greed, for lack of a better word, is good. Greed is right.
Hello, I'm Michael Douglas. In the movie Wall Street, I played Gordon Gekko, a greedy corporate executive who cheated to profit while innocent investors lost their savings. The movie was fiction, but the problem is real. Our economy is increasingly dependent on the success and integrity of the financial markets. If a deal looks too good to be true, it probably is. For more information on how you can help identify securities fraud or to report insider trading, contact your local FBI office or submit a tip online at www.fbi.gov. Thank you.
You are a scammer.
Flaming young, I should be flaming young, this is my favorite food.
Hello, 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 all of my fabulous, beautiful people, and how are we all doing today? I hope that you're all doing very, 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 very well. So today we have a few things that I want to talk about. Mainly, we're going to be talking about investment scams and a new bill that is being passed that is going to make it so that elder people and those with disabilities it's going to be harder to prey on them, if you will. So I want to talk about all of that. Hello, Joe. Good to see you. You mean I can't get 11% per month? Probably not. Probably not. So I have been looking into a lot of like investment scams lately. As you guys know, it's something big that we talk about on this channel. And I think we have to have a little bit more of a conversation. Now, as you guys saw at the beginning of this, there have been scam warnings since the beginning of television. We have had actual PSAs made to warn people about scams. And for some reason, there are still billions and billions and billions of dollars being taken from even just Americans, never mind Canada, never mind, the UK or anywhere else. Just the USA alone loses billions of dollars a year to scams, especially investment scams. And things like crypto scams is considered an investment scam. And that is kind of the new trend at the moment, if you will. Everybody's doing the crypto, and half of them at least are fully fake, and the other half are scams. That's my opinion. But I've worked really hard out here to try to prove that to you all. So I feel like we just need to discuss this again, deep dive some stories that have happened, and also talk about this bill. Before we do that, I think we need to go through the actual definitions, because I had somebody get very mad at me the other day that I did not go through definitions in my videos. They were like, "How am I supposed to know what you're talking about?" And I was like, I'm sorry. I guess I just kind of assumed that when I talked about like financial or property exploitation, that you would just know what that meant. If I say scam, I figure you know what that means. I guess I think you guys are hella intelligent, and then every once in a while, some of you remind me that you're not. So let's just get right into it. Financial or property exploitation. And this is according to the justice.gov website. And we are mainly talking about elders being taken today. My main focus right now is the fact that, and I think ONPASSIVE kind of brought me down this rabbit hole, is the fact that elderly people or adults with disabilities are the most exploited for these types of scams. And I want to know why. I kind of want to deep dive into why that is and figure it all out, because unless we fully understand, then we cannot fix the problem. Although, the US is doing something to try to fix it now, which I appreciate. So, financial or property exploitation means illegal or improper use of an elderly or adult with a disability's money, property, or other resources for monetary or personal benefit, profit, or gain. This includes, but is not limited to, theft, misappropriation, concealment, misuse, or fraudulent deprivation of money or property belonging to the elderly or adult with a disability. To define an adult with a disability, it is a person who is 18 years or older. Because now, see, here's my thing. I would hope that most of these things are not taking advantage of those under 18. But as we have been finding out, a lot of these scams and schemes, including like pyramid schemes and whatnot, now are preying on even high school students. There is a loophole in several places where if a parent gives their 16-year-old permission, their 16-year-old could then join, like an MLM, for example. I'm dead against that. But again, they leave that up to the parents to decide. So, in order to be considered a person who is an adult with a disability, you have to have a physical or mental impairment which substantially limits one or more major life activities, or have a history of, or has been classified as having, an impairment which substantially limits one or more major life activities. You are not considered disabled if your disability does not interfere with your everyday living. Which in some cases, maybe it doesn't so much. For example, there's lots of people with mental health issues, and many of them would argue that they're well now, that they don't feel like they are limited. So we have people all the time here in Canada that will get off of disability, right? Because they are no longer having one or more of their major life activities limited. Elderly, in case we need to define that, refers to a person aged 60 years or older. Now, that might actually be surprising to some of you because it used to be 65 years or older. But in most places now, they have now changed that to 60. So I know here you can now start to collect certain pensions at 60 years. And I'm going to assume that the US is very similar in that, since elderly is defined as someone 60 or older there. So now that we know what I'm talking about, since apparently the definitions were necessary for us to learn, let's get into one of these stories of someone that was taken for a lot of money. Now, the first story that I'm going to read to you today, it comes from scamwatch.gov, which is one of my favorite websites. So I highly recommend that you follow it. That's going to be you in May, Joe. Well, that's good. That's good. It's time to retire, Joe. Go get that retirement. So Steve here, he got his retirement. I mean, so, He's 65 years old and he lives alone in retirement. Now, this story, I'm not sure if it is actually based. I'll tell you right now. I don't think that this is a story that is actually based on a guy named Steve who's 65 and lives alone in retirement. This one seems to be them taking several complaints and then kind of coming up with a story in order to explain what has happened to several people in our world, if that makes sense. So this one might not be a full account of a guy named Steve. I just have to be transparent about that. This website does not always give accounts like that because they don't want to re-victimize anyone, and they don't want to um basically like out anyone. So I think they're kind of scared that people will be able to figure out whose story is what and whatnot. So they tend to take a few different stories and mesh them together and make it into one big story. So they say not long after his wife's death, he received an unexpected call about an investment opportunity. The cold caller sounded very professional and seemed to have excellent knowledge of investment matters. They answered all of Steve's questions, and their initial contact was followed up with calls from senior advisors. Right? As Steve's superannuation funds weren't doing so well, he decided to explore this new investment opportunity. He did not think about discussing the investment opportunities with anyone else, as most people don't. Honestly, we're really strange. uh, like older people that are elderly, they were taught don't speak about religion, don't speak about your money to people, don't speak about politics, and don't speak about sex out in public. These are things that you just don't go around telling people. We're the new generation, since us lovely millennials and whatnot, that came out here and went, let's all start blasting all of our belief systems all over the world and talking about it in public, and also telling everyone whenever we make $20. Yay! And like, so it's a weird thing. Everyone being out here like, I went and invested in this and I made 50 Bitcoin, and then posting that on social media. Elderly people look at that and go, what the fuck is wrong with all these young people? So it's not that strange that someone who is elderly would not be going around discussing investment opportunities, even with their family and friends. Right? I mean, again, we're the weird generation that is like, go sign up all your friends and family. That wasn't as much of a thing back then. It was just kind of starting. So elderly people tend to be more quiet about those sorts of things. And I do wonder if that adds to the problem here, right? They're less likely to kind of tell their family members, hey, I invested this amount of money into this new opportunity. So it says over the next 12 months, Steve made a number of transfers to the investment professionals, initially starting with $10,000. He was referred to a very professional looking website, which, I mean, they all try to look professional unless it's on passive, and set up a login account, right? I guess just like on passive, which showed his money increasing in value as the market went up. Confident the system was working, he invested more money, to a total of $200,000. Ah! He only realized that the investment scheme was a scam when the website went down and he could no longer access his account or contact the offshore group by phone. Yes, we don't talk about money. Yeah, see, that's what I think it's a generational thing, right? Elderly people, like even my parents, they would not go around telling people what they invested in. It's just not a conversation that you have at the dinner table, right? 200K, oh shit, right? Like that's a lot of money. But I think that another thing is that elderly people elderly people uh I'm sorry, this comment just threw me off. I have no clue what this is. That sucks, but no clue what that's about. But yeah, elderly people, they don't talk about their money at all. They don't talk about their investments, and I think that that definitely does add to why they get scammed. And I think they also have more trust. Is that fair to say? More trust in financial institutions and the likes. So I feel like someone like Steve here wouldn't know to question a system. Like to them, if they go to a website and it looks like a real website, and then it looks like there's real investments happening and those numbers are going up, a lot of times they don't think to question it. That's part of the issue we're having with the crypto stuff right now, right? Is a lot of people are just kind of like, well, why wouldn't I be making money? The numbers are going up on the screen, and it's like, yeah, until all of a sudden they take off and you can't find them anymore. And then we got another damn Bitcoin situation. Okay, like or a Binance, because that one's being banned everywhere now, right? Um, they don't think to question. They don't think to question it as much. So again, a friggin' website just goes down and he can't contact anyone. Of course, they took off. It's probably an exit scheme, right? And he can't access his account because the website went down. So he did some research and discovered the company was fake and not registered with the Australian Securities Investment Commission, which is a way that you, if you are investing and you're in Australia, can then go and check to make sure, is the company I'm about to invest in a decent company, or is it fake? So I just recommend people in Australia, before you invest your money, maybe just go check that place out. He was too embarrassed to tell anyone or report it to police, right? And that happens a lot too. A lot of people get very, very embarrassed. And that's kind of why I want to end the stigma out here of people that are like, well, if you get scammed, then you must be a fucking idiot. Like, everyone knows that scams are out there. Or the people that are like, everyone knows not to join a pyramid scheme. Like, everyone already knows. I've literally had people come and comment to be like, you're wasting your whole life by talking about these things. We all already know. And I'm like, well, that's funny, because did you know that USA is probably the country that gets taken the most? So if you already know, what you doing then? How you all losing billions of dollars to scams every year? You got to end the stigma that it's only dumb people that get scammed. That's why I did a whole video talking about how scammers actually like smart people, not dumb people. And you have to stop the stigma that every single person already knows what scams are and about all of the scams. Because until we stop those types of stigmas, people are still going to be really embarrassed to tell people or to report these things. Think about it. If there's billions of dollars lost that we know about, double that. Because it's probably doubled. And we don't know about lots of people that were taken that were too embarrassed to report. He ended up being contacted by the police after they discovered his name on bank transfers made to known fraudsters. That happens to people a lot. Since learning of the scam, Steve was again contacted by criminals with offers to help him get his money back from the original investment. There are a couple scam companies out here right now that are going around going, have you been scammed? Well, come and give me all of your personal information and I will help you get your money back. You just have to pay me $99.95. It's like, no, don't do that to people. Come see someone like me. come see someone like Scammers Payback or like Jim Browning or like the Recovering Hunbot or CoffeeZilla or somebody like, please reach out to people like us before you go and get scammed again by one of these recovery companies. I think that's what they're calling themselves, the recovery companies. Because oftentimes then people are just ripped off again. And this time, since the police had contacted Steve the last time, this time Steve was like, hey, this sounds iffy. I'm going to call the police. And they explained that it's a follow-up scam and warned him to expect more calls like this, as his name was most likely passed on to other criminals. And that's the issue as well, is that once they scam you, they actually have a list. Did you know? Did you know that these call centers that do these scams pass around lists of people that they've scammed? So once you get scammed, you end up on a list. And it's like the list of all the people that you could trade money from if you're a scammer. And they will actually pass this around. They will sell it to each other. When we're talking about ONPASSIVE, we're often talking about how we think Ash Mufara is selling people's data and information. And we mean to like other scammers. And people who would want large contact lists of people who maybe don't think too hard before handing over money, if you will. Easy prey. So that's what happens, is you end up on one of those lists, and then it's just scam after scam after scam trying to contact you. That, I mean, you're on a list already, probably, that the scammers have already tried to scam you, right? That's why a lot of people end up getting constant phone calls on their line about the scam. And then again, it says the story above is based on one or more real scams reports that were received by the ACCC. For privacy purposes, the names and images of victims have not been used, and they've probably changed the story just enough. So that is a story that happens over and over and over and over again. And the main reason why I wanted to talk about it was to bring up that they do have an Australian Securities Investment Commission. So that's good for people in Australia. We all have a version of this, though, every country. So please do go and check yours out before you invest, especially a large amount of money into something. I also wanted to kind of show this story because it brings up the stigma and the fact that he was embarrassed to call the cops to tell anyone about it, because I often like to talk about how I want to end that stigma. Now I have a local story. Is that where Ash is making his money? Probably. I think so. Now I have a local story for me. This is from CTV News, from Toronto CTV News. And we're going to talk about someone who has lost his home and $500,000 to a crypto scam. An Ontario man says he is devastated after spending his entire life savings in an investment scam he got involved in from a YouTube video he watched. They are all over this platform. Maybe I need to react to more of them. I don't know. Let me know if you want to see that from me. But this was from a YouTube video. Please be careful on this platform that you are watching me on right now here, YouTube. It has scammers all over it trying to take you for your money. Imagine watching a YouTube video and then all of a sudden losing your home and $500,000. I'm devastated. It ruined me and it's my life savings gone, said Stephen Carr of Meaford, Ontario. Online investment scams continue to be a massive problem in Canada, and Carr is one of many victims. According to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre, 2021 saw $379 million in fraudulent losses in Canada, with the number one cause for loss being cryptocurrency fraud. The number one cause for loss in Canada is cryptocurrency fraud. And then you wonder why I sit here and say, please do not get involved in cryptocurrency. Carr said he was on YouTube when he saw a video that promised he could make large amounts of money trading commodities, foreign currencies, and cryptocurrencies. He said he contacted the company and started off with an initial amount of $250. That's what they do. They say, please just put in a small amount, and then they'll give you a return. They give you the return because it is run as a Ponzi scheme. So they take the money off of somebody that they just signed up who put in their small initial amount, and they pay you back. They get you to do that, and they might pay you back several times until finally you put in all of your fucking money because you were like, oh, wow, I'm making bank on this investment. It's really doing returns. Again, if something looks too good to be true, it most likely is. But unfortunately, money blinds people. So they go, oh, wow, yeah, this is amazing. I'll put all my money in. And then that is when all of a sudden it's done, right? And then you can't pull anything out. So when that appeared to be growing, he put in another 2,500. At one point, he asked for a 1,000 withdrawal, which he received. And that gave him confidence the website was legitimate, right? They'll do this until this. After that, from a period in October 2022 to January 2023, he invested his life savings of $498,000. What I didn't know at the time is this trading platform I was on was a simulation. It wasn't connected to anything, like a flight simulator that's not connected to a real airplane. I would argue that about 75% of cryptocurrency is this, just a simulation. And this is why when money is untraceable and digital, you need to be careful. Carr became concerned when he thought his funds had grown to 1.3 million and wanted to take some out. But he was told he would have to pay a $150,000 liquidation provision to get his money. And believe me, this works for some people. And they take that 150K and then you never hear from them again. I got conned, and in hindsight, I put a ridiculous amount of money in this and a ridiculous amount of trust in these people. I'm devastated. I'm in the process of selling my house and have to reorganize my life. I've got maybe 2 or 3 months of usable cash left, and that's it. Jason to Schechter, I'm never going to say that right. I am so sorry, Jason from Alberta. Don't come for me. He lost $81,000 in a crypto scam last year, as in 2022 here. He started Fraud Hunters Canada, which is a group that tries to support victims and help them recover their money. With internal boundaries and a limited police resources, it's almost impossible to do. These criminals have turned this into an actual business. And for them, business is booming, he said. Unfortunately, the police are strapped for manpower and they don't have the time to research all the fraud that comes through, which is why people like us that archive scams are so important. Fraud Hunters Canada can help someone who has been caught in an investment scam by giving them resources and guidance. Unfortunately, a lot of people are going to go through the anger, the depression, the denial. They will even try to bargain with the criminal, but it just won't work. Carr said when he tried to recover his funds, he ran into more scams. I've spoken to several recovery firms. And again, I'm going to have to do a whole deep dive on the recovery firms. But a lot of them are in the same boat and are fraudulent themselves. And I hope that people that do get scammed by these scams then become educated enough so that the recovery firms can't scam them like Carr did here. Carr said he reached out to CTV News Toronto to share his story to prevent others from being scammed. If I can get conned, then a lot of other people can get conned. And they have my entire retirement savings. And this is him here. He lost his house and $500,000 to this scam. And unfortunately, there is, as of right now, no way to get that money back or to trace it, since a lot of it was cryptocurrency. That is why it is so important to protect yourself or to avoid digital investment scams just completely. So that's why we are going to the globalantiscam.org website to talk about that. How do we avoid these digital investment scams? Number one, understand what you're getting into. And this is like something that really bothers me. It really does bother me, excuse me, how people do not properly educate themselves on something, or how people will not know all the information and they'll still invest. Like something like ONPASSIVE. If you're asking questions and they are refusing to answer questions about the company you are investing in, it is probably a scam. They say here, before making any investment decision, always understand the risks associated with it. The risks can be very different depending on the type of investment. For example, a website or app might not make money right away. You can even lose all your capital if the website or app isn't maintained properly. You need to do your research and understand exactly what you're buying. If you don't know anything about an investment, you shouldn't buy it immediately or at all. It's important to ask questions when investing. Reading books, attending seminars, and talking to other investors with industry experience can help you learn more. These resources can give you valuable information regarding how to evaluate an investment. And when they say other investors, like talk to other people that are on the same level as you. Don't attend seminars that they're doing, for example, right? Like talk to people in the same industry, but maybe outside of that company. Number two, research the company behind the investment. Just like when you're investing stocks in a company, you'll want to know as much information about the company behind a digital investment. This includes their financial reports. And that, again, if that stuff's not being shared, there's something going on. How long they've been around, all of their future plans, and etc. Look at the company's performance and see if it matches up with what you expect from them, as in what they're spewing out their ass. If there are any financial reports available, read through them carefully. And in the case of multi-level marketing companies, something like that, the income disclosure statements, make sure that you understand them. If you need help, reach out to somebody. Do you think the company is worth the amount being asked? Are the numbers realistic? Are the promises realistic? Make sure you understand why the company is doing well. That helps you determine whether or not you should invest in it. And it says, diversify your portfolio. The biggest mistake investors make is putting too much money into one investment. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Determine how much risk you're willing to take and only invest as much as you feel comfortable losing. Treat investments like gambling, especially right now in this world with all the crypto scams and everything going on. You really do have to look at it as, if I invest this money and it all goes poof, gone, will I be okay? Only invest as much as you feel comfortable losing every time. That's a good way to ensure that you are not left owing your house and 500K of your entire retirement savings, for example. It's also good to diversify among different types of investments. Diversification means spreading your money across several different investments instead of putting everything into just one thing. For instance, you don't just want to invest in one cryptocurrency. Even if that crypto is doing well, there's still a chance that it can crash or be completely fake. You want to spread your money out across multiple cryptos if you're going to do that. That way, you won't lose all your invested money if something goes wrong. And as I say, just don't invest in crypto at all, and then they can't scam you. Don't fall victim to FOMO. FOMO is something that we talk about a lot here on this channel. FOMO is used to scam everyone. Probably one of the biggest things, manipulation tactics, right? It's the fear of missing out. So whenever you hear us going FOMO, FOMO, that's what it means. Fear of missing out. And that's when someone invests because they want to be part of a trend. Right. And that's the whole thing with the cryptocurrency that kind of gave me red flags, was that it was a trend that came out. Everyone wanted to be a part of it. Everyone said, don't be missing out. You don't invest right this second, you're going to miss out. But I just, right away, red flags for me. So they think that by investing now, they'll miss out on profits later. However, there are times when FOMO usually leads to regret. People end up selling off their investments when they realize they missed the big gains. Like in an MLM, you missed the big gain if you were one of the first people to sign up for it. So the FOMOs don't matter. In addition, the big market value of these assets often causes people to buy at higher prices than necessary. Yeah, and they'll make it sound like you're getting a deal. When this happens, people get caught up in the hype and sometimes overpay for an asset. Then they find themselves stuck with a loss when the price drops. Right? Gotta be careful for that. Be wary of pump and dump schemes, which is something that I, again, talk a lot about. Pump and dump schemes are basically frauds where companies pay investors to promote their stock through fake recommendations. Then, after the stock price has gone up, those same investors sell off their shares at a higher price than the previous purchase price. This scheme is illegal, but it does happen a lot. It's important to be aware of scams like these before you decide to invest. Always do your research first and be wary of unsolicited investment offers. And always be careful of who's promoting something. Even if it's like your favorite TV star, okay? Just give it some thought. Gwyneth Paltrow does Goop. That's all I should have to say to tell you that that doesn't automatically equate famous TV star to good investment, for example. So I just, just it doesn't matter who is promoting it, it's still not good. If you suspect a company may be involved in a pump and dump scheme, you can also contact the Securities and Exchange Commission. The SEC will investigate the matter and take action against that company. Number 6 is don't share personal information. I could sit out here and say that until I am blue in the face, but for some reason, people still share personal information all the time. All the time. One way scammers use to steal money is by using your personal information. As such, you should be careful about sharing your personal information with anyone. You never know who might have access to your personal data. This includes your name, address, social security number, credit card info, etc. For instance, in the metaverse, you're encouraged to interact with other users through your avatars. But this opens you up to potential threats from strangers. Scammers may try to build your trust by constantly interacting with you. Once they've built a good relationship, they might ask for sensitive information and use this information to scam you or just against you all over the internet if you're a YouTuber. So always be careful giving out personal information. Like in the PSA we saw at the beginning of this, where the girl asked the guy for his security number. And she goes, "Yeah, give me the first and the last." Oh, sorry, I didn't hear that. Give me the second and the fourth. And you can see that she's getting the full security number there. Okay, and then she's going to go steal from him. The bottom line, as you can see, investing isn't always easy. It ain't easy. There are risks associated with every type of investment, and digital assets aren't an exception. In fact, they're scarier to me. That's why learning more about them and understanding what each entails is important. And these tips should help you make at least better decisions in digital real estate. I don't know about all of it, but at least in that. The good news is that we are, yeah, your PIN, just the last four digits. Thank you. The good news is that in Washington, D.C., they are trying to pass a bill, which is going to be the Financial Exploitation Prevention Act. And I thought that this was cool. So I would like to talk about it for a moment. So, Congresswoman Ann Wagner, chair of the Financial Services Subcommittee on Capital Markets, released the following statement after her Financial Exploitation Prevention Act passed the U.S. House. So, here it is here. As you can see, on the 25th of January, it was introduced. And it went through all of this pretty quickly, too, by the way, I must say. And as of the 31st, it received in the Senate and read twice and was referred to the Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs. I am going to leave a link right now in the chat, and I will also be putting it in the description, where they actually go through the entire bill as you are seeing on my screen. I don't think we're going to sit here and read through all of it right now because you will want to kill me with how boring it would be. But we are going to kind of like just quickly go through what it is. So this is the actual written out act, though. I just wanted to show you. I have gone through it. This is on congress.gov, and this is the actual whole act. All right, so it explains it all here, goes right into it. If you want to come and read it for yourself in future, once it goes through and everything is all good, then if you want and you request so, I'll do like a poll or something on my community tab, so make sure that you all stay tuned for that all the time, because you don't want to miss my rants either. Okay, I'm fucking funny. So yeah, I'll do a poll, and then if you guys want, we can sit down and go through like the whole thing. I just think if I do that today, you will want to go and claw out your ears. But we are going to get into more detail about what it is. I just wanted to show you that yes, I have read it all, looked it up, researched it, and I think it's a good idea. So this was a statement that Ann Wagner said. She said, "The Financial Exploitation Prevention Act will provide our vulnerable investors with an important layer of protection to help make sure that they receive the hard-earned savings that they have built up over the years. Financial exploitation of seniors is elder abuse. And tragically, about 20% of senior investors fall prey to financial fraud, that's a very high amount. That's an estimated $2.9 billion lost annually. I hope the Senate takes up this bill immediately so vulnerable investors have the protections they deserve. And I think that that is just fucking fabulous. I am very, very happy that there's a bill being passed for this. And, I think that it's a great fucking thing. It says over the next 10 plus years, 10,000 Americans will turn 65 every day, with seniors making up 18% of the nation's population by 2030. As more investors age into retirement, the risk of exploitation increases, which this is also why seniors, because if we don't keep educating out here as much as possible and warning people as much as possible about these things, then we just keep getting more and more seniors being scammed. So basically, as more people age into retirement, as you retire out here, you up your risk of being exploited. Yay! Congratulations on retirement. Now you'll have a bunch of investor scams exploit you. Currently, about 1 in 5 senior investors are victimized by financial fraud. 1 in 5. 1 in 5. So if I have 5 people watching me right now, one of your grandmas or grandpas are being victimized, basically. Those investors lose an estimated $2.9 billion annually in reported cases. Keyword there is reported because, like I said, we got a stigma which makes it so people don't want to report, which is why we have to end it. It's just like in sexual assault. People don't want to report it, right? So we don't actually know how many. It's more than 2.9 billion, and it's probably more than 1 in 5 senior investors. And that's sad to me. We do need to stop this. So what are we doing to stop this? Your wife's aunt. Morning, hi, good to see you. I will give you a link to buy me a gift card. I will add the value of that card to your fee I send you later anyhow. No risk. Trust me. I will send you my credit card number right now. So it says that Monday is when this was passed, the Financial Exploitation Prevention Act, by the suspense-free margin of 419-0. If enacted, which we're still waiting, and we hope, so, write your congressman today, the bill would permit open-ended investment companies and transfer agencies, which keep records of stocks and bonds, to postpone payment on a redeemed security if they suspect the security is being redeemed to exploit the security holder. Now, I have had a little bit of a talk with some people about this, and they brought up the fact that this could get annoying for elderly and disabled people if they are investing honestly, if they have to wait for their funds, for example. And I was like, that's a good point. But I would rather have a bunch of people mad that they have to wait for funds than a bunch of people mad that they'll never get their funds because they all got ripped off. So you know what I mean? You got to kind of weigh the pros and cons out here. Congresswoman Ann Wagner, who proposed the bill, said in a statement that 20% of seniors are financially exploited every year, which adds up to an estimated $2.9 billion annually. Just read most of that. The bill would permit a delay on redemption for 15 days if the open-ended investment company or transfer agent suspects exploitation. They may continue the delay for an additional 10 days if, after an internal review, their initial suspicion has not been resolved. State government agencies and courts of competent jurisdiction would have the authority to extend the delay past this 25-day window. Although the bill does not lay out a specific process by which investment companies or transfer agents would elevate the issue. So again, that's something that we would have to figure out here. The bill would apply to account holders age 65 or older, or any adult who, as a result of a disability, is unable to protect the individual's own interests, regardless of age. Within 2 days of an initial delay, the company or agent must inform the account holder in writing, which can include electronic communication of the delay. The amount to be redeemed must be held in a demand deposit account in the meantime. Open-ended companies and agents must also have procedures to identify and report financial exploitation, methods of releasing and holding the assets in question, and must designate specific employees with the authority to delay payment. They also must retain records which document the postponement and its basis, the names of employees with the authority to postpone payment, the notification provided the account holder, and result of internal reviews. And I like that because, again, then there's some record keeping that's happening. And I think that that's good. The exploit will be usually done from foreign country for small amount. The Interpol will not even raise a pencil. It's true. This would be the original account, not the scam. Yeah. Yeah, but I just like that they would have to keep the records, right? And kind of prove it all, because if we at least have that being done, then maybe we'll have more records of what these scams are, where they come from, etc. We could keep track of them better. And then if there's, certain investments obviously that are known scams that keep getting flagged over and over again, then maybe that will alert the proper authorities. I'm hoping that that's what happens. So the bill also requires the Securities and Exchange Commission to provide a report with legislative and regulatory recommendations to reduce financial exploitation in consultation with other agencies. And again, just to kind of making that happen might help. Like, I was like, please, we need some stuff out here to help stop these scams, especially from preying on elderly people, disabled people, the most vulnerable people, right? And even children, like I've brought up, they're starting to get preyed on now. We just can't have this. The Insured Retirement Institute expressed support for the bill in an emailed statement. The policy is also listed in its retirement security blueprint. The prevention of financial exploitation and the protection of older and vulnerable Americans is a top legislative and regulatory objective for IRI, said Wayne Chopis. He is the president and the CEO. Our members are on the front lines of this issue, working with clients across America every day. As a result, they're often the first to notice that a client may be the victim of a financial crime. John Jennings, and again, that alone, just like training people better on how to notice and that kind of thing, that helps. John Jennings, the Assistant Director of Governmental Affairs at IRI, notes that the bill would only allow the delay of a transaction for a set period of time. This is important because there will surely be false alarms. And that's kind of what people were worried about that I talked to. They were like, well, what if it's a false alarm? Again, I mean, that sort of sucks, but at the same time, wouldn't you rather wait and then make sure that the investment's good? Or do you want to get scammed? You know what I mean? But those cannot be delayed indefinitely, thereby minimizing the damage done to legitimate redeemers. Right? And I don't think most will worry. Jennings also explains that a previous measure, the Senior SAFE Act, passed in 2018 as Section 303 of the Economic Growth, Regulatory Relief, and Consumer Protection Act, gave liability protection to companies when reporting potential fraud. He says new legislation is often required because criminals are constantly adapting to the regulatory and enforcement environment. So the legislation needs to stay one step ahead. I agree with this. He adds that the Bipartisan and an unanimous vote is a good omen for this bill's final passage. And since it passed the House early in the session, there is plenty of time to get it passed in the Senate. The bill is now in the hands of the Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs as of Tuesday. A spokesperson for the committee did not immediately return a request for comment because they're busy, hopefully busy, passing the bill. And again, this was dated on February 1st. So I actually mean like last Tuesday. Like it might have even been yesterday here. No, not yesterday. It's been dated the 1st. So yeah, it would have been Tuesday the 31st. That's when it was. We saw that. Tuesday the 31st. So now we are just kind of waiting. And again, they still have some time to kind of like pass it through the Senate. So I am going to be just following that and seeing what happens to it. I think it's a good idea. Hello, Zach. I have been well. I hope you have too. Good morning, Auntie. It is okay. You can always watch the replay. I'm about to wrap it up. But I do think that it's a really good idea. As I keep saying, it seems like the elderly and the disabled are the most preyed upon in these investment scams. So anything that we can do to help protect them helps. But I also like the fact that now there will be more records kept of these. The fact that maybe that means that there'll be more training in terms of how to help these financial institutions and whatnot look for their clients being scammed. All of that is all good stuff. I want that. The more we can do out here to help protect people and their money and even just their emotions. Like they said, you go through a whole grieving process when you get scammed like this. But the more we can do to protect all that, the better. And I don't want to hear any, well, everyone already knows not to join a scam because, like I pointed out, there's over $2 billion being taken from Americans every year in just this scam alone. Cryptocurrency scams right now are the biggest fraud here in Canada. So I think we do need to talk about these a lot more. And with cryptocurrency coming into play and all the scams with that, we definitely need like some new bills out here put in place. I'm even looking at Canada, like what we doing more of over here, Canada. Okay, like can we come up with more bills like this, please? That would be good. I mean, we have lots of ways to protect here, but that would be amazing. Again, the more we do, the better. And that is why I can't shut up. And I have to sit out here. Well, I don't have to, but I like to. And I will be sitting out here and discussing these scams as much as possible. I am putting together a video that it ended up being super long. It's about that Boss Babes MLM training business, and it is a training that they give. So it ended up being a few hours. I'm editing it down, but unfortunately it might not be done until about next week based on how everything else in my life is going and the fact I have 30. I'm a Gemini, and so if you believe in horoscopes, then you know I have like 40 different projects going at all times. Just constantly. So I have that I'm working on. I'm almost done the Aleister Crowley Satanism video, which I know people have been like, Queen, you've been talking about this video for like 2 fucking years. Just post it, would ya? So I'm going to. And I've already kind of outed that I am doing a deep dive on these recovery companies that come in after you've been scammed and say, hi, I am here to help you recover your money. And then they scam you again, which I just find disgusting. As somebody who is out here, I will help you for free. Reach out to me. Say, Queen, I was scammed by this thing. We need money back. And I will help you for free. There are tons of people out here on the platform that if you reach out to them and we're sitting here, we're talking about these scams, we will also do anything we can to help you with them. quite frankly, if people are out here talking about them and they're not doing anything to help you with them, also let me know, and I will totally blast those fucking assholes too. I don't care. So if you're out here and you are being scammed and you are watching those of us that are talking about scams, know that there are free places you can go. Don't go to the Rose recovery ones. And I am going to be proving to you sometime in the next week why they are awful. And I have some more on passive coming, and just all kinds of interesting stuff, along with some updates on some other things that we have talked about. And Modern Alternative Mama has started to do videos again on the platform. And I am super excited about that. Although Jeff Holiday doesn't seem as excited as me about it. I am super excited about that. And I plan on reacting to several of those as well in the coming week. The next week is going to be kind of a little bit of everything and a lot of stuff, because I need to get all of this done. It's driving me nuts, and I need room on my fucking computer so that I can do more things. So stay tuned for all that. Hail Satan. Yes. Every time that I say Hail Satan, I go right into the mindless self-indulgence, right? Like, Hail Satan! And then it's like the tornado song. That's what happens in my head. I sneak up and hit you like a fucking tornado. Like, that's what happens. Every time I read Hail Satan, just goes right into mindless self-indulgence and the tornado song. I can't help it. I can't help it. But yes, that video is coming up in the next week. I just want to, like I said, I've pumped it up so much that now it has to be fabulous, doesn't it? So again, I'm going to be keeping track of this bill, and we'll let you know what happens with it. And once I am done getting out all these products, no, not products. I don't sell those anymore. Fuck that. All of these videos, all of these productions, all of these projects, which was the original word that I wanted to use, done, then we will be doing all that. So stay tuned. We got a lot coming, like I said. And hopefully now I won't have to freak out. But tonight I think Alonda might be covering the actual video of us being yelled at by someone. So maybe I will have to. I guess we'll have to see. But I do have something planned for next week if something happens that's supposed to happen. But again, we just never know. So again, just stay tuned. Check out the community tab. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't yet. Please do give this stream a like. It helps me out a lot. And share it around, because I'm sure that you know some elderly people. And again, sometimes education and awareness is the best protection. So have a fabulous, fabulous day, and I will see you all very, very soon. And remember, be careful out here. Apparently, especially out here on YouTube. Scammers fucking everywhere. Mwah! Bye!